Make sure to check out advanced.gg. Use my code NICK2 for 30% off up until Friday. Otherwise, it's 10% off. Thanks a ton, boys. Hey, what's up, guys? It's NICK2. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys what is probably one of the best builds that I've ever used in this game. As you probably already know, Osteo Striga, this gun is just absolutely insane, and there's a lot of ways to make it even better, and that's pretty much the whole point of this video. Ever since I slapped this thing on, I was just like, okay, this is the only thing that I want to use for right now, so I just want to set up a way to make this just even more powerful than it is, and that's exactly what I did with this build. I'm going to be covering a lot of ways to just make it even more powerful than it already is. There's actually a lot of things that I don't see many people utilizing when throwing this on, and I'm also going to be utilizing a lot of stuff from Void 3.0 that is going to make this even better. The main focus of this video, of course, is going all in on the SMG. Of course, I'll touch on absolutely everything that I'm using, but I plan to make like fully comprehensive builds that I think are just like all around way better in the future. So if you guys are interested in seeing some Hunter, Void, Titan, builds for every single character, all kinds of different builds, make sure to subscribe. And if you enjoy, please make sure to drop a like on the video. But as you can see, the build's absolutely insane, and I'm just going to go over everything that I'm doing to make the gun as good as possible, and then I'll show you guys some other stuff that I'm doing. If you find the video helpful, please make sure to drop a like, as that helps me out a ton, and feel free to check me out over on Twitch if you're interested in seeing me play a bit, Buildcraft over there, and if you want to just ask me some questions and hang out. Alright, so getting into the build itself, obviously I'm going to be on Warlock. You don't have to be on Warlock at all for the Osteo Striga to be very, very powerful. You can obviously use this on Hunter and Titan, and it's still going to be very, very strong. It is just particularly better on Warlock, not only because I think the Warlock Void 3.0 is just inherently really strong, but also because of Necrotic Grip. Before I talk about how Necrotic Grip is going to interact with this, let's talk about the weapon itself. So obviously the Catalyst is incredibly powerful and probably one of the best parts of this gun. If you don't know how to get the Catalyst, or you want to know how to get it very, very quickly, I'd recommend checking out my other video. It's a really quick video, and I'll show you how to get the Catalyst in less than 20 minutes. But if you already have it, as you know, one of the main perks is that poison final blows return ammo to the magazine, so you end up having pretty much full ammo all the time, and it's also going to overload the magazine as well, so you can end up getting over 100 bullets in the mag, which is super, super good. Then we have the main trait, Toxic Overload, where when you land a final blow or you land multiple precision hits, it's going to trigger a burst that poisons nearby enemies. This is particularly good when you pair it with Necrotic Grip, because Necrotic Grip by default is going to increase the damage over time effect of that poison that is going to trigger whenever you hit somebody with a precision hit. And also, even if you don't hit anybody with the Osteo Striga, if you just melee and kill somebody with the Necrotic Grip, it is going to reload your gun, regardless of if you killed them with or if you shot them with the gun. Also, anytime you defeat a poisoned enemy, this is going to immediately spread the poison, so you could literally kill one guy with the SMG, and then the poison will just continue to kill everything. You could like walk away from your keyboard and everything will still die, and that's probably the main benefit of using Necrotic Grip. However, you don't have to use this at all. It just makes ad clear a little bit faster, but the gun by default does have like an explosion, but it requires multiple precision hits, whereas Necrotic Grip, if you just killed the enemy with the gun at all, if you just trigger that explosion one time and they die with the poison tick, then it'll just chain infinitely, because the next guy will just get poisoned from another AoE that happens by default with the Necrotic Grip. But if you don't want to use Necrotic Grip, or you're on another character, I'd recommend just using whatever exotic you like to use that's going to get your grenade back as much as possible. I'll talk about the grenade and the Void 3.0 stuff in a little bit, but the main thing is that you just want to have grenades. You want to have grenades up so that you get the weaken debuff, which we'll talk about all of that in a second. Alright, so for the rest of the build, the main thing that I'm trying to take advantage of here is high energy fire. So this is going to be a self buff that you can have pretty much all the time that is going to give you additional weapon damage bonus. The reason that I'm focusing all on this is because you can't really benefit from Font of Might because the weapon is kinetic, and I just wanted a build that fully takes advantage of this gun and just makes it do absolute balls to the wall as much damage as humanly possible. So that's what high energy fire is going to do for us. You could instead decide to not use high energy fire, and you can use like empowering rift. However, you have to sit in the rift, and not all characters are going to be able to benefit from that, right? So my idea with this was I'm just going to put on high energy fire, because it doesn't matter if we consume our stacks of charge with light, because we're not using protective light anymore, because that got nerfed down to 50%. If you didn't already know about that, I'd recommend watching my other video where I talk about all of the mods and what I think is going to be meta with all the well mods, etc. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on high energy fire. So the best ways to get charge with light now, getting the helmet mod is still pretty good, because kinetic weapon final blows, it pretty much just acts like it previously did, where kinetic weapon final blows are going to give you orbs of power, and then you pair that with taking charge, boom, that's pretty much all you have to do. But I'm doing something a little bit different to where I'm able to pretty much have my charge of light stacks non-stop. So what else I'm doing is I'm running stacks on stacks, The main reason for running this is simply to just have higher uptime on high energy fire. Otherwise, you're only going to get like one charge of light stack whenever you pick up an orb, right? And then you're going to pretty much immediately expend that after you get one kill. But if you're running stacks on stacks paired with this other mod called Swift Charge, pretty much what will happen is you'll get multiple kills, and then you'll get to 2 stacks, you'll get another kill, and then you'll get back to 2 stacks, and you kind of hover around the 1 to 2 stacks rather than immediately having all of your stacks fall off, so that you can benefit from high energy fire more often. Swift Charge, honestly, it's a little bit overkill paired with the other stuff, but it's immediately going to give you the charge with light rather than having to run over an orb, which is really good. You could very easily supplement any of these other ones for a lot of other mods if you're trying to use some well mods, or you want to make your void weapons do more damage with Font of Might, whatever. This is just what I'm using to fully take advantage of high energy fire. Lastly, I'm using Elemental Ordnance just so that I spawn Void Wells. This is going to spawn Void Wells all the time. The main reason is just to give me some more class ability energy. In terms of all the other mods that I'm using, so let's just go over everything. I'm using Ashes to Assets on my helmet just to give me some more super energy. The whole point of this build is pretty much I just want to be able to go into lower tier, lower mid tier content and just fly through stuff and just have my super up all the time, have my grenades all the time, and have my Osteo Striga absolutely melt everything. So with Ashes to Assets, it's going to help us out. And then I have Bolstering Detonation on my gloves. This has to be void. You get class ability energy whenever you cause damage with a grenade. This pairs particularly well with the grenade that I'm using, Vortex, because it's going to make the grenade last, or the grenade is going to last really long and constantly cause damage. And then that's going to give me my Rift back. And then whenever I pop my Rift, I'm going to get that little Void Soul, which helps us out. And then whenever we get kills while the Void Soul's out, we get our grenade faster and we get our melee back faster. So everything kind of just cycles in between itself. And then on my chest piece, this doesn't really matter, I just have some damage reduction stuff. And then I have Elemental Ordnance. You could very easily swap a lot of these mods to literally whatever you want, reserves, or you could go for Elemental Charge wouldn't be with it. You could go all kinds of different stuff. And then on my gloves here, my boots here, I have Absolution just to reduce all ability cooldown each time I pick up an Orb of Power. But you could very easily swap this to Invigoration if you want to use your melee more often, or if you wanted to use Void Boots, you could use Better Already, which is a very, very good healing thing, and then still use Absolution. Or what's particularly good for healing is Recuperation on Solar Boots. I'd highly recommend checking that out, or you could get a grenade cooldown in the form of Innervation if you wanted. But you kind of get enough grenade cooldown reduction with Devour and all the other stuff that's built into the build. And then I have on my Bond here, I'm using Bomber. You could swap this to some other stuff, and then of course High Energy Fire. For the stats, you just want to go full Recuv and full Discipline. What particularly ties this whole thing together is the aspects. So I'm using Child of the Old Gods, where you make a rift and it's going to give you your Void Soul. And then I'm using, whenever you kill an enemy with a Void ability, you get Devour. These aren't particularly super important. I mean, obviously the Void Soul thing I think is really good, and I don't think charging your grenade is all that great. But this isn't universal for all the characters, right? This is just for Warlock. What is universal for all of the characters is that your Void grenades weaken targets, and this is directly going to make your Osteo Striga do more damage because it's going to apply a 15% debuff to enemies whenever you throw your grenade. Pair this with Vortex Grenade, which I think is one of the best ways to apply this debuff, because Vortex Grenade, you throw it down and it's going to stay down for a long time. Pair that with the Echo of Remnants thing that makes it have an increased duration. It's going to last a really, really long time. And then you'll just have that weakened debuff up a lot of the time, which I think is very powerful. And it's also just going to make your grenades by default do more damage. Pair this with Echo of Expulsion, where Void ability final blows cause targets to explode. You pretty much just have this insane gameplay loop of run in, throw a grenade, cast a rift to get that Void Soul up, plus activate Bomber to give you some more grenade energy, run around, kill some guys with your Osteo Striga, boom, you already have your grenade back up because of the well and all this other stuff, throw a grenade down again, and then you have your rift again because of Bolstering Detonation, you have Devour up the whole time so you're invincible, and you're constantly weakening enemies with the damage debuff from Echo of Undermining, and then you swap to your other weapons, and then you absolutely just pump them. Additionally, I have Echo of Reprisal, which is just going to give you additional super energy whenever you kill an enemy when you're surrounded by combatants. This is going to be really good for simply just having your super up all the time, and you're going to have your super up a lot when you have Ashes to Assets just pumping a lot of super energy, because it's going to give you super when you use your grenade, and you're also just creating like an insane amount of orbs with the helmet mod here. There's a ton of different variation, but this is pretty much the main way that I like to have it set up right now. The main takeaway is that you're just doing as much damage as possible with Osteo Striga because of High Energy Fire. Necrotic Grip makes the gun absolutely insane. Pair with all this Void stuff all around, it's just an absolutely insane build. In terms of the other weapons that I'm using, I like to use Null Composure because I like that it's a void gun, and if I want, I can, you know, get rid of stacks on stacks or taking charge, for example, and I can just put on Font of Might. Or if I want some more survivability, I could put on like Well of Tenacity with all these well mods, and then Font of Might will make Null Composure do 25% additional damage. With High Energy Fire, I'm pretty much taking advantage of a 50% damage buff all of the time, which is really strong, which is why I like using Null Composure and Threaded Needle. Null Composure is great for whenever there's a major, you just, you know, take the gun out and pop them in the face. But honestly, the special weapon slot feels kind of dead when you're using Osteo, because Osteo by itself just like it melts through majors and it just ad clears faster than Null Composure with Reservoir Burst would. So the main thing, like, you could literally put anything here. I'm about to put my glaive here just to like level it up while I'm playing the game. But the main thing that I really like to use is Threaded Needle, because Threaded Needle has, I don't know, it just has really, really good boss damage. I don't really like using rockets. I don't like having to reload. And Threaded Needle, you could take advantage of Font of Might. You could also use like Reed's Regret. You just swap this out, shoot a guy in the face a couple times, and then they instantly die. Alternatively, you could use Fallen Guillotine as well, which is also void. And surrounded with this, I mean, Fallen Guillotine is always really, really good. You just lack a little bit of survivability, which is kind of why I like Threaded, because from super far away you can just beam people down and it's really powerful. That's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you found it helpful, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for videos similar to this one. I'll be making an immense amount of build videos in the future, so feel free to subscribe if that sounds interesting. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the future. Peace.